It was just another Tuesday morning when Mr. Walter, a 74-year-old from Michigan, walked into his doctor's office for his routine checkup. He was doing everything right, watching his diet, walking every day, staying away from too much salt or sugar. But this time, his cholesterol levels were unexpectedly high. His doctor looked up from the chart and asked, "So, what have you been snacking on lately?" Walter chuckled. "Oh, just a few cashews here and there, maybe some peanut butter at night. I thought they were good for my heart." Turns out, like many people, Walter was trying to eat healthy. But one small mistake in his snack choice was slowly working against him. In fact, a major study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology found that certain types of nuts, when eaten regularly by people over 60, can actually increase the risk of heart disease by up to 48%. That's not a random number. That's real science and a real concern. So, if you're someone who snacks on nuts because you believe they're good for your heart, your brain, or your bones, this video might just change the way you think. Today, we're going to go through the 4 best nuts you should be eating for better memory, stronger bones, steady blood pressure, and healthier sleep. And we're also going to talk about the 4 nuts you may want to stop eating, starting today, because they could be quietly putting your health at risk, especially as you age. And don't worry, this isn't just a list. We're going to break it all down. Why these nuts matter, what makes them good or bad, and how just one small change in your daily habits could help you feel more energized, sharper, and even sleep better at night. I know how it is. After 60, every little decision we make, what we eat, how we sleep, when we move, feels a little more important than it used to. Sometimes, it's not about making big, dramatic changes. Sometimes, it's just about swapping one snack for another. So let's start there, with a nut that's in almost every trail mix and pantry across America, but could be increasing your inflammation, messing with your memory, and even putting stress on your liver without you even realizing it. Can you guess which one it is? Let's find out together. 1. The shocking truth. Some nuts may raise heart disease risk by up to 48% after 60. Let me tell you a story that still sits with me. A few months ago, I met Mr. Charles, a kind, soft-spoken 72-year-old retired teacher from Ohio. Every morning, without fail, he would make himself a slice of whole wheat toast with peanut butter and a banana. He'd read that nuts were heart healthy. And peanut butter? That was his little comfort food. But during a routine checkup, his doctor noticed something troubling. His blood pressure was creeping up. His LDL cholesterol levels were higher than expected, and an ultrasound revealed early signs of arterial stiffness. Charles was shocked. He wasn't eating fast food, didn't smoke, and took his daily walks. So what was going on? Well, it turns out that the very food he thought was helping him was quietly working against him. And he's not alone. A multi-year study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology found that some commonly eaten nuts may raise the risk of heart disease by up to 48% in adults over 60. Not because all nuts are bad, but because certain types, when eaten regularly, can become a problem, especially as we age. Here's the thing. As we get older, our digestive and circulatory systems change. Our arteries become less flexible. Our body's ability to process saturated fats and omega-6 fatty acids weakens. The same foods that a 30-year-old can digest with ease might cause inflammation or oxidative stress in someone over 60. For example, peanuts, often praised for their protein and fiber, are technically legumes, not nuts. They grow underground and are especially vulnerable to mold. This mold produces aflatoxins, which can be harmful to the liver. On top of that, peanuts are high in omega-6s, which, in excess, can promote chronic inflammation, a root cause of heart disease. In younger adults, the body can often compensate, but for someone in their 60s, 70s, or 80s, these small stressors add up, especially if you already have high blood pressure, take medications, or have reduced liver or kidney function. So what can we take away from this? Not all nuts are created equal. And just because something is labeled healthy, doesn't mean it's healthy for everyone, especially not as we get older. That peanut butter toast? For Mr. Charles, switching to almond butter, and limiting his intake to a couple times a week, made a noticeable difference. Within 3 months, his cholesterol dropped, and he felt less sluggish in the afternoons. It's a simple reminder: the right food, at the right age, can heal, but the wrong one, eaten too often, can quietly do harm. Now that we've uncovered this surprising truth, let's shift gears and talk about something more hopeful. A nut that's not only safe for seniors, but can actually help protect your bones and your heart as you age. Let's take a look at that next. 2. Almonds. Not just a superfood, but a true tonic for bones and brain. There's something comforting about almonds. Maybe it's the gentle crunch, the hint of sweetness, or the way a small handful can feel like a wholesome treat. But for seniors, almonds are much more than just a healthy snack. They're a quiet hero when it comes to protecting both your bones and your mind. Let's break that down a little. Almonds are rich in calcium, vitamin E, and magnesium, 3 nutrients that are absolutely essential as we age. Calcium, of course, helps keep our bones strong. But what many people don't realize is that vitamin E and magnesium are just as important, especially when it comes to preventing bone loss and supporting brain function. Vitamin E is a powerful antioxidant that protects brain cells from damage. That means it may help slow down cognitive decline, including age-related memory issues. And magnesium? It plays a vital role in helping calcium get to the bones, instead of ending up in your arteries where it can cause problems. Without enough magnesium, calcium can actually do more harm than good. It's like this. Imagine trying to mail a package without the right address. You've got the goods, calcium, but without proper delivery, magnesium, it may end up in the wrong place. And almonds offer both. Just a small handful, about 15 to 20 almonds a day, is all you need. Raw, unsalted almonds are best. If you can, choose organic varieties that still have their skin, because that's where many of the antioxidants live. The fiber in almonds can also help with digestion and relieve constipation, which is something many seniors quietly struggle with. But let's clear up a common mistake. Roasted, salted almonds may seem tastier, but they come with a price. The added salt can raise blood pressure, and too much roasting can damage the healthy fats that make almonds so beneficial. So if you're used to grabbing the flavored packs from the store, it might be time for a small but meaningful change. Now, if chewing whole almonds feels like too much for your teeth, here's a gentle alternative: homemade almond milk. It's easier than it sounds. Just soak a cup of almonds overnight, blend them with filtered water, and strain. You'll get a smooth, creamy drink that's gentle on the gums and still packed with nutrients. And here's a bonus: it's free of added sugars and preservatives that are often found in store-bought almond milk. Almonds are also far more efficient sources of calcium compared to cow's milk or even soy milk, especially for people who are lactose intolerant or sensitive to soy. Unlike dairy, almonds won't cause bloating or digestive discomfort, and they come with added brain benefits most dairy can't match. So, what's the takeaway here? A handful of almonds a day isn't just a snack, it's an act of self-care. For your bones, for your memory, and for your long-term well-being. Speaking of memory, there's one nut that looks surprisingly like the human brain. And it just might be the most powerful food for keeping your mind sharp as you age. Let's talk about that next. 3. Walnuts. They look like the brain, and they're made for it. Have you ever noticed how walnut looks a bit like the human brain? That's not just a quirky coincidence, it turns out. These little brain-shaped nuts are one of the best foods you can eat to support memory, focus, and sleep as you age. Inside each walnut is a powerful combination of nutrients that work together to protect and nourish your mind. One of the key players is omega-3, a plant-based fatty acid that helps preserve brain cell membranes and support clear communication between brain cells. Unlike fish-based omega-3s, ALA is gentle on the stomach and easy to add to your daily meals, especially for older adults who may not eat seafood regularly. But that's just the beginning. Walnuts are also rich in polyphenols, a type of antioxidant that can actually cross the blood-brain barrier and fight inflammation in the brain. Why does that matter? Because inflammation is a major contributor to memory decline and even diseases like Alzheimer's. And here's something a lot of people don't know. Walnuts naturally contain melatonin, the hormone that helps regulate your sleep-wake cycle. As we get older, melatonin levels tend to drop, which is why many seniors struggle with insomnia or waking up too early. A few walnuts in the evening may gently support more restful sleep, without the need for medication. Let me share a lovely story. Mrs. Helen, a 76-year-old grandmother from Michigan, used to have trouble sleeping through the night. She also began forgetting small things, like where she placed her glasses, or the names of her youngest grandkids. Her daughter suggested she try a simple change, adding a few walnut halves to her evening snack. Usually a small bowl of yogurt or oatmeal. After 6 weeks, something shifted. Helen wasn't just sleeping better, she felt more clear-headed during the day. One afternoon, her grandson ran up to her, and for the first time in a long time, she greeted him by name without hesitating. Her eyes lit up. That moment meant everything. And that's the kind of quiet transformation walnuts can offer, when used mindfully. So, how should you use them? Aim for 7 to 9 walnut halves per day, ideally in the evening when their melatonin content can support your natural sleep rhythms. You can mix them into plain yogurt, a bowl of oatmeal, or even blend them into a smoothie. And if you can, buy them whole and crack them yourself. It's a small hand exercise that helps with grip strength and fine motor skills. Be sure to store them in the fridge, because the oils in walnuts are delicate and can go rancid at room temperature over time. The takeaway? Walnuts aren't just a snack. They're a tool for sharper thinking, deeper rest, and more meaningful connection. Used consistently and wisely, they can bring subtle but powerful shifts in your day-to-day life. Now, while we've talked about a nut that supports the mind, let's turn to one that helps something just as vital, your blood pressure. And it may surprise you. Let's take a closer look. 4. Brazil nuts. A quiet lifesaver for your thyroid and mood after 65. Sometimes, it's the smallest things that make the biggest difference. And in the world of nutrition, Brazil nuts are a perfect example. They may not be as popular as almonds or walnuts, but for older adults, especially those over 65, these buttery, rich nuts can quietly support two of the most overlooked aspects of aging health: thyroid function and emotional well-being. Here's why that matters. Your thyroid is a small, butterfly-shaped gland that sits in your neck, but it has a big job. It controls your metabolism, your energy levels, your mood, even your body temperature. And one key nutrient the thyroid depends on is selenium. Without enough selenium, your body struggles to convert thyroid hormones into their active form. This can leave you feeling tired, down, or foggy, even if your lab results look normal. Brazil nuts just happen to be the richest natural food source of selenium in the world. Just one single Brazil nut can provide more than 100% of your daily selenium needs. That's powerful, and potentially dangerous if you don't pay attention. Let me tell you a story. Mr. Raymond, a 70-year-old retired teacher from Oregon, started eating Brazil nuts after reading an article about their benefits. He thought, if one is good, a few must be even better. So he added 5 or 6 to his trail mix every day. Within 2 months, he began to feel jittery. His hair started thinning, and he developed an odd metallic taste in his mouth. A visit to the doctor revealed selenium toxicity, a condition caused by having too much of this essential mineral. Thankfully, he caught it early and recovered. But it was a wake-up call. The lesson? More isn't always better. Selenium from Brazil nuts is natural and more easily absorbed than synthetic supplements, but that also means it's easier to get too much. The sweet spot is just 1 or 2 nuts per day. That's it. Enjoy them like a treat, perhaps dipped in a little dark chocolate after dinner. It's a small moment of joy that can also protect your thyroid, stabilize your mood, and support nerve health. And speaking of mood, selenium has been shown in studies to help reduce the risk of mild depression in older adults. It's one of those quiet nutrients that works behind the scenes, helping your body manage stress and inflammation. But there is a word of caution. Brazil nuts may not be safe for everyone. If you have kidney problems, or if you're taking medications like statins or certain blood pressure pills, it's best to talk to your doctor first. These nuts are high in fat and selenium, and in rare cases, they can interact with medications or increase strain on weakened kidneys. So what's the takeaway? Brazil nuts can be a powerful ally for thyroid health and emotional balance, but only when used with care. A little goes a long way. Just one nut a day could make a noticeable difference in how you feel. And now that we've talked about a nut that's all about precision and restraint, let's explore one that's delightfully colorful, full of crunch, and surprisingly helpful for blood pressure. You might already have a bag of them in your kitchen. Let's take a closer look. 5. Pistachios. The only nut that can fight salt, steady your blood sugar, and protect your eyes. If there's one nut that often flies under the radar but deserves a daily spot in your snack bowl, it's the pistachio. These bright green gems are more than just tasty, they're a gentle, powerful ally for anyone over 60 who's watching their blood pressure, their blood sugar, and even their vision. Let's start with something not many people realize. Unlike most salty snacks, pistachios actually help counteract salt. How? It's all about the unique ratio of potassium to sodium. A single ounce of pistachios gives you about 285 milligrams of potassium and only a trace of natural sodium, when they're unsalted, of course. That balance helps your kidneys flush out excess sodium from other foods and lowers the pressure on your arteries. Now, you might be thinking, isn't potassium something I get from bananas? You're right, but pistachios offer a lower sugar, protein-rich alternative that's easier to fit into meals, especially if you're keeping an eye on your glucose levels. Speaking of which, pistachios are surprisingly kind to your blood sugar. Their healthy fats, protein, and fiber work together to slow digestion and prevent sharp spikes. That's especially helpful for older adults managing prediabetes or type 2 diabetes. And there's more. Pistachios are one of the only nuts rich in lutein and zeaxanthin, two plant compounds that gather in the retina and protect your eyes from age-related macular degeneration, the leading cause of vision loss in people over 60. Think of them as internal sunglasses that block the harmful effects of blue light and UV damage. Here's a real-life example. Martha, a 74-year-old retired librarian, started adding a small handful of pistachios to her morning oatmeal instead of her usual raisins. Not only did her blood pressure readings improve over the next 3 months, but she also noticed she wasn't squinting as much when reading in the afternoon sun. She even joked that pistachios were cheaper than glasses. But, like with anything healthy, the benefits depend on choosing the right kind. One of the biggest mistakes people make is buying flavored or salted pistachios. Many popular brands roast them in industrial oils or coat them with extra sodium, totally undoing their heart-healthy properties. Look for pistachios that are dry roasted and unsalted, or even better, in their shells. Not only do you avoid overeating, but the shelling process gives your hands a bit of exercise too. If you're wondering how to include pistachios in your day, here's a simple plan. Morning snack: a small handful with a slice of apple or a few grapes. Lunch: sprinkle crushed pistachios over a salad with spinach and feta cheese. Dinner: add chopped pistachios as a crust on baked salmon or as a topping for roasted carrots. Just an ounce a day, about 49 pistachios, is enough to see real benefits. And yes, when eaten regularly and correctly, studies show they can have effects similar to mild blood pressure medications. The takeaway? Pistachios are proof that the right foods, eaten in the right way, can be powerful medicine. Not only do they help manage key health risks in aging, but they also add a satisfying crunch and color to your plate. Now, we've talked about some of the best nuts for your body and brain. But what about the ones that seem healthy, but could quietly be doing more harm than good? Let's take a closer look at one nut that might be sitting in your pantry right now, and why it's not as innocent as it seems. 6. Peanuts. Why the most popular nut might be the riskiest for seniors. Let's talk about peanuts. They're America's go-to snack, found in everything from sandwiches to trail mix. And for good reason. They're affordable, tasty, and familiar. But here's something many people don't know. Especially as we age, peanuts aren't actually nuts. They're legumes, like beans. And that little difference matters more than we think. Because they grow underground, peanuts are more prone to contamination by a mold called aspergillus, which produces aflatoxins. These toxic compounds can build up in the body over time and damage the liver. For older adults, whose detox systems tend to work a bit slower, the risk becomes even greater. But that's not all. Peanuts are high in omega-6 fatty acids. While omega-6s are essential, too much of them, especially without enough omega-3s, can push the body toward a pro-inflammatory state. That means more joint pain, more cardiovascular stress, and potentially faster cognitive decline, exactly what many of us are trying to prevent as we get older. There's also an often overlooked risk when it comes to medication. Peanuts contain vitamin K, which can interfere with blood thinners like warfarin. It might sound small, but for seniors who rely on these medications, even a regular handful of peanuts could quietly impact how well the medicine works. Let me tell you about Harold. Harold is 70, a retired mailman from Ohio. For decades, he started each day with peanut butter on toast. He figured it was a healthy habit. But when his blood tests kept showing high LDL cholesterol and elevated liver enzymes, his doctor suggested making a few swaps. Harold switched to almond butter. That's it, just a simple change. Within 3 months, his cholesterol numbers improved, his liver markers normalized, and he said he finally had more energy to finish the crossword again. Of course, not all peanut butters are the same. Many store-bought brands are loaded with hydrogenated oils, added sugar, and sodium, ingredients that quietly wear down aging arteries. Even natural peanut butter needs a second look. Always check the label, choose unsalted, no added sugar, and ideally, organic options. But even better, explore healthier spreads altogether. 2 great alternatives. Almond butter, rich in calcium and magnesium, supportive for heart and bone health. Sunflower seed butter, creamy, vitamin E rich, and a good option for those with nut allergies. Here's the takeaway. Just because something feels familiar doesn't mean it's still the right choice for our health. Our bodies change with age, and our foods need to change with us. Now, if peanuts are more trouble than they're worth, wait until we talk about cashews. Delicious. Yes, but surprisingly risky for anyone managing blood sugar or kidney health. Let's look closer. 7. Cashews, sweet, creamy, and soft, but a hidden risk for blood sugar and kidneys. Cashews have a way of winning people over. They're smooth, slightly sweet, and melt in your mouth. No wonder they're often the first to disappear from the mixed nut bowl. For older adults with sensitive teeth or reduced appetite, cashews can feel like the perfect snack. But here's the thing. Sometimes what feels gentle on the outside can be deceptively harsh on the inside. Cashews, despite their healthy image, come with 2 big red flags, especially for seniors. First, let's talk blood sugar. Unlike almonds or walnuts, cashews are higher in carbohydrates and lower in fiber. That means they can cause sharper spikes in blood glucose, which can be especially concerning for the nearly 1 in 4 Americans over 65 living with diabetes, and the 48% who are considered pre-diabetic. And here's where it gets tricky. Many older adults trying to cut out sweets think, I'll just have a handful of cashews instead. But the body processes those carbs quickly, and without the fiber to slow things down, your sugar levels can swing in the wrong direction. Then there's the issue of oxalates. Cashews contain high levels of oxalates, natural compounds that, when consumed in excess, can bind with calcium in your digestive tract. This not only reduces calcium absorption, a problem for aging bones, but also increases the risk of kidney stones. For seniors who may already have reduced kidney function or a history of stones, this becomes a quiet but serious concern. Let me tell you about June. June is 69, and she loves snacking. She recently swapped her daily cookies for cashews, thinking it was a smart trade. But after a few months, she started experiencing discomfort in her lower back. A visit to her doctor revealed the early formation of kidney stones. The culprit? Likely those cashews, and the silent buildup of oxalates over time. So what can you do instead? If you love that soft, buttery texture, you're not out of options. Hazelnuts and pecans are excellent substitutes. Hazelnuts have a similar mild sweetness but come packed with more fiber and healthy fats. Pecans deliver a rich, nutty taste with a lower glycemic load and a gentler impact on your kidneys. And if you're managing blood sugar, pair your nuts with something that balances the meal, a small serving of berries, some plain Greek yogurt, or a bit of unsweetened dark chocolate. This keeps your snack satisfying without sending your sugar levels on a roller coaster ride. The lesson here? Cashews aren't bad, but they're not the miracle snack many think they are. especially for older adults. The key is to stay aware of how your body responds and to choose alternatives that nourish rather than challenge it. Next, we'll take a look at one of the most surprising troublemakers, macadamia nuts. Elegant, expensive, and creamy, but hiding a calorie bomb that might be working against your heart and your waistline. Let's break it down. 8. Macadamia nuts. The royal nut that could be silently expanding your waistline. They're rich, buttery, and feel like a luxury in every bite. Macadamia nuts have earned their nickname as the royalty of the nut world. But as elegant as they taste, they come with a surprising downside, especially for those of us over 60 trying to manage our weight and heart health. Let's look at the numbers. Just 1 ounce of macadamia nuts, about 10 to 12 nuts, packs around 200 calories and 22 grams of fat. That's more than most other nuts. And while much of that fat is monounsaturated, which is heart-friendly, macadamias also carry one of the highest levels of saturated fat among all nuts. That kind of fat, if consumed too often, can raise LDL cholesterol, the kind we want less of, especially in older adults who are already managing blood pressure or cholesterol medication. Now here's something many people don't know. Macadamia nuts are also demanding on your digestive system. Their rich fat content puts extra pressure on your gallbladder. If you have gallstones or sluggish bile production, a common issue after age 65, eating macadamias regularly could lead to bloating, nausea, or even flare-ups that send you straight to the doctor's office. Let me share Mary's story. Mary is 74 and absolutely adores macadamia nuts. She keeps a jar of them on her coffee table and would population 3 or 4 every afternoon with her tea. They're small and so delicious. How much harm could they do? She thought. But after just a month, she'd gained nearly 5 pounds, and was feeling more tired and bloated than usual. When her doctor reviewed her food journal, macadamias stood out. That tiny treat was quietly adding over 250 extra calories a day. So what can you do if you still crave that rich, creamy flavor? Try switching to pistachios or sunflower seeds. Pistachios have that satisfying crunch and taste without the calorie overload. Plus, they're higher in protein and fiber, which means they'll keep you full longer. Sunflower seeds, when unsalted and dry roasted, offer a creamy texture and healthy fats that are easier on your system. If you truly love macadamias and want to enjoy them mindfully, here's a tip. Limit yourself to just 1 nut a day. Pair it with a few slices of low-sugar fruit like strawberries or a piece of dark chocolate. You'll still get that rich, indulgent moment, but without letting the calories quietly stack up. The takeaway? Not all healthy-looking foods are harmless, especially when you're not keeping track. Macadamia nuts may wear a crown, but they don't always belong on your daily throne. Coming up next, we're going to talk about a nut that seems innocent but could be causing unexpected taste changes, medication interference, and even vision issues. Pine nuts. You don't want to miss this. 9. Pine nuts, small and buttery, but could rob you of your taste and appetite. At first glance, pine nuts seem harmless. They're tiny, creamy, and often tucked away in dishes like pesto or sprinkled on a salad. But for some older adults, these little seeds can cause an unexpected and quite unpleasant surprise. Have you ever heard of pine nut syndrome? It's rare, but very real. After eating certain pine nuts, especially those of lower quality or from unverified sources, some people report a lingering metallic taste in their mouth. Not just for a few minutes, but for several days. Imagine biting into your favorite meal, only to have everything taste like coins or bitter metal. For older adults, that's not just annoying, it's dangerous. Loss of appetite can sneak up quickly. If food no longer tastes right, you're likely to eat less, skip meals, and unintentionally lose weight. And when you're in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, that kind of weight loss can lead to fatigue, weakness, and even poor immunity. But that's not all. Pine nuts, particularly when stored too long or processed improperly, can oxidize. That means the fats inside them break down and become inflammatory. If you're already dealing with chronic inflammation, like arthritis or gout, this could quietly worsen your symptoms. There's also a risk of interaction with common medications. Pine nuts may interfere with how your body absorbs certain drugs, including statins, for cholesterol, blood pressure medications, and even some antidepressants. It's subtle, but enough to reduce their effectiveness over time, especially if you eat pine nuts regularly in hidden forms like pesto or baked goods. Let me tell you about Mr. Raymond. He's 78, a retired chef who loves Italian food. For years, he added a spoonful of store-bought pesto to his pasta every week. But over time, he noticed strange things. His mouth would taste like metal for days. His appetite dropped, and his blood pressure started to fluctuate, despite taking his meds faithfully. After some digging, it turned out the pesto he loved was made with pine nuts sourced from an unreliable supplier. Once he switched to a homemade version using pumpkin seeds, everything improved: taste, appetite, and energy. So, what's the takeaway? You don't have to give up pesto, just get creative. Try blending basil with unsalted pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds. Add a little olive oil, garlic, and parmesan, and you'll still get that delicious Mediterranean flavor without the risk. In our final section, we'll tie everything together and show you how to build a weekly nut routine that keeps your heart, brain, and bones thriving without the hidden risks. Let's wrap it up with something practical, simple, and easy to remember. 10. How to choose nuts wisely, not by ads, but by understanding. By now, we've explored the hidden wonders and risks of many types of nuts. But how do you actually choose the right ones when you're standing in the grocery aisle, staring at rows of colorful packages with bold promises? Let's take the mystery out of it. First, look at the label. There's a big difference between roasted and dry roasted. When a nut is simply labeled roasted, it often means it's been cooked in oil, sometimes low-quality oils that add unnecessary fat and can spoil over time. Dry roasted means no added oils, just heat. That's a much better option. Then there's salted, for folks with high blood pressure. That one word can be trouble. Always check the sodium content. Some snack-sized packs contain over 500 milligrams of sodium in just a single ounce, about 28 grams. That's over 20% of the daily recommended sodium intake in one small handful. Be cautious with phrases like natural flavors. It sounds healthy, but it's often a catch-all term for additives that might not agree with your body. When in doubt, choose nuts with short, simple ingredient lists, ideally just the nut itself. Now, about storage. Nuts are rich in healthy fats, but those fats can turn rancid quickly, especially in warm or humid climates. Don't leave them in the pantry too long. Instead, keep them in airtight glass jars in the fridge, away from light and moisture. Stored this way, many nuts can stay fresh for 3 to 6 months. So, how much is enough? Here's a simple guide to safe daily amounts for most older adults. Almonds. 10 to 15 nuts, 15–20 grams. Walnuts. 5 to 7 halves, 7 to 10 grams. Brazil nuts. Only 1 to 2 nuts, 5 to 10 grams. Any more could risk selenium overdose. Pistachios. A small handful. About 20 nuts, 28 grams. Macadamia nuts. Just 1 to 2 pieces, 5 to 7 grams. Cashews. 5 to 10 nuts, 12–18 grams. Peanuts. A small palmful. About 1 ounce, 28 grams. Pine nuts. 1 tablespoon, 7 grams, use occasionally. Of course, you don't need to eat every kind every day. A balanced mix of 3 is often best. Here's one sample daily plan. Breakfast. Oatmeal with 1 tablespoon of chopped walnuts, about 7 grams, and a few dried cranberries. Lunch. Quinoa salad with 1 tablespoon of sliced almonds, about 8 grams. Fresh greens, and grilled chicken. Evening snack. Half a cup of plain Greek yogurt with 1 tablespoon of unsalted pistachios, about 14 grams, and a drizzle of honey. This kind of variety keeps things interesting, delicious, and most importantly, good for your health. And here's my question to you. What's your favorite nut? Have you made any changes recently in how you eat them that made you feel better? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear your story, because the best part of this journey is learning from one another. Before we wrap up, let's take a quiet moment to reflect on what we've just learned. Out of all the nuts out there, a few truly stand out as golden companions for your health after 60. Almonds, walnuts, Pistachios and Brazil nuts, when used the right way, can support your bones, protect your brain, ease your blood pressure, and even uplift your mood. But on the flip side, there are a few quiet troublemakers hiding in plain sight. Cashews, macadamia nuts, peanuts, and pine nuts, though tasty and tempting, can cause more harm than good if we don't fully understand how they affect our aging bodies. And this, perhaps, is the most important lesson of all. A nut can be like medicine, if you know how to use it. But it can also be the seed of disease if taken the wrong way. The good news? A small change today, just switching the type of nut you snack on or adjusting the amount, can make a big difference in how you feel tomorrow. So if this video sparked something for you, please don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a loved one, your parents, your grandparents, your neighbor down the street who just turned 70. Because knowledge, especially when it comes to our health, is a gift best passed on. And if you've got a story about how nuts have helped or surprised you, leave a comment. I'd love to hear it. Until next time, take care of yourself. And remember, sometimes, the smallest things, like a single nut, can quietly shape a healthier, happier life.